I've turned on the recording, and this is our lecture for Design 330. It's week number 8. Oh my gosh, we'll be halfway done at the end of this week. Woohoo! So this is March 9th, and we're on the Google Meet. We're going to talk about purchase orders and tool paths. And purchase orders are probably easier to figure out, but they're more mundane and they just take time to put them together. So I'm expecting that if you've done a reasonably careful job with your files and you know where all of your information is, that you'll be able to find the stuff to create your purchase orders and what we call your product approval sheet, and maybe take an hour or two total to do that, which will give you plenty of time to check out different tool paths for your sim. Now, it could be that you really understand this toolpath thing, and the first time it works great, and you've got the best one there. I think after I set up my toolpaths, it took me, I don't remember. Did anybody watch the video of me doing the cutting sim by using the toolpaths? I think it took me 15 or 20 minutes to do it. And it probably took me half an hour to an hour to set it up. So the beauty of it is once your toolpaths are set up, of course, you can repeat that over and over and over again, and it becomes very useful. And it's the basis. It's really the beginning of CNC programming. Nowadays you can touch a button and a program gives you all your tool paths and everything, but somebody programmed all those things, and it's just good to know how to do them. So that's what we're going to talk about today. Let's go and look and see what is due. So we've got a playlist, and there's a bunch of stuff in it already. Actually, there's just the two things in it. I thought I had a little bit more, but that's okay. This is how to plan your tool paths. I guess I didn't post the one where I did it. I'll have to go find that one because I actually ran the tool path, and it worked. And then here's how to make your samples. And I didn't really make one on purchase orders because we're going to go through that today. Okay. Your assigned work, you have some purchase orders to do. And there's a template for you right here. There's a purchase order template that we'll talk about today. And yeah. Oh, I forgot to show my screen. Sorry. Thank you. I got way too many things happening all at once. There we go. And I'll present it, and it's flashing. There we go. Okay, so here's what we're working on. We got the playlists. We have purchase orders that look like this. It's a template for you to fill out, and we have a milling plan, which you can see exactly how I made it. So I'm not going to go over that in detail. I'll show it to you. I'll show you my file, but you're going to have to sort of figure out your milling plan and what to do. And then, so you're going to create purchase orders. You're going to make an approved vendor list. Your CAD drawing is already done. And so from that CAD drawing, you're going to do what we call operation layouts. And you're going to run the milling sim, and you're going to post it to the discussion and inspect it. And I think I have to make that discussion board again. So I'm going to write that down. Okay. And then here's your template. So the template's pretty straightforward. You do all your good stuff like you always do. And there's 3 things to work on part 1. A purchase order template. Okay, so just want to see it. I want to see your purchase order template with some annotations about what each section is about. And that's what we're going to do today. I'm going to tell you what each section is about. So you'll show me the template and let me know that you understand it. Then you're going to write purchase orders for all of your parts. Now, if you get everything from one source, you can write one purchase order if everything came from Amazon. But if you got some stuff from Amazon and some stuff from Granger's and some stuff from Brass Metals, you need a purchase order from each supplier. Okay. And then purchase orders for your bin items also. So now I've separated these two because this is enough for 10 assemblies. So you want enough brass to make 10 bodies. You need enough nipples to make 10 pumps. You need enough pistons to make 10 pumps. Okay. And so you're going to do that. And when you do material resource planning, you never, if you're going to make 10, you always buy more than that. But I'm not going to do that. Right? You're just going to know if I want 10, I'm going to order enough for 10. And that's why I've separated it from the bin items. Just show me that you can purchase some of those things. Okay. Now, a lot of you didn't show the bin items on your submittal, so you're just going to have to figure them out and put them in this time and do a little extra work. So here is then your PO template, and the idea is that you'll do something like you'll put this on there, and then you'll do some annotations about which, what is this section about? What is this section about? What is this section about? How come these are all over here? Right? And what is this and this? So that's what you're going to sort of work on there. Then you'll fill out your purchase orders, and you might have 2 or 3 or 4 of them. And then you'll fill out another purchase order for your bin items. Okay. Then comes your part 2, which is your part drawing, which most of you are just going to take from what you did last week and put it in there because you did nice part drawings, milling plans, sketches, and then an operation list. Okay, so you're going to read those sketches and make what's called an operation list. And mill part screen capture and inspection. Okay. So anybody have questions about what's due and what you're gonna turn in? Thing look okay there? And you'll have to type them in because I muted myself because I couldn't listen to 2 things at once. So if you use the chat line if you need to. Okay, well then what we're working on, let's first talk about purchase orders, and we're going to talk about the different parts. And we talked about what to do this week, but I'll go over it more. So different parts of a purchase order. Let's take a look at this and see. So the first part of a purchase order is about what we call vendor information, right? And that's who you're buying it from. Vender in French is to buy. It's probably vender in or to buy or to sell. Vender probably in Spanish. I don't know what it is in Latin, but that's what it comes for. Who's selling this stuff? So you have to see who's selling it, and then who do you contact? Is it a website that you order from? Is it a person that you call? Is it there's usually got to be a person involved unless it's truly online, and then you can just put on that online thing. But even then, large accounts usually have somebody. And then here's the particulars. How do you submit your purchase order? Right there. Okay, who do you send it to? all that kind of stuff. Where do you send it? Particularly for billing and all that kind of stuff. And then most companies have what they call certified vendors or approved vendors or on the vendor list. And those are people that you just normally deal with. And usually if you're doing this for a business, the most important thing is you have from them what's called their tax ID number, so that when you fill out your taxes, you can show that they're going to pay taxes on what you bought from them. Okay. And so it's a big IRS thing, but you need to have certain pieces of information when you purchase as a business. And so usually there's some number that says, go look in this file and you'll figure out everything about those people. Okay. And so this is like, oh, there are certified vendor number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and on down the list, depending on how many vendors you've got. And so that just keys in so that if you need to go find information more than what you write here, you can do it. So this first area is all about who are you buying it from. And you have to have enough information that whoever is going to actually type in the order, call in the order, write down the order, make the order, that they know who to order it from. Okay, this next part over here is about us, you, whoever's ordering it. So usually you have to keep track of these purchase orders so that when they call up and they go, oh yeah, on purchase order 25624, we can't supply one of these things. What do you want us to do? And you can go and look it up. Okay, so this is just a way of keeping files in databases and stuff. And you can put any number up here. I really don't care what you put up here, but usually there's some sort of a number. Fancy places have a requisition number and a purchase order number and a release number and blah, 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 that all driven by accountants that we don't really need to worry about. Just know that somehow this document has to be given a number. And often when you save your file, right, file, make a copy, you'll give it, that file will get that number so you can look it up really quick. Okay. Now, who's the authorized purchase agent? Some companies have different purchasers for different products or for different vendors or whoever. So you need to know, who are you going to send this to, so that if there's a question, you know who to call. It's like, well, I was promised this stuff and I didn't get it. And so who are you going to call? Ghostbusters, right there. You're going to call that person because they're the authorized agent. And usually there's a list. When I worked at Wemco, there wasn't a list. There was a room with 4 people in it, and you knew them all, and you'd just walk in. And Fred Caparis was for specialized equipment, so I worked with Fred all the time because I was R&D, and I'd just walk over to Fred, and Fred took care of my stuff. And so you need to know who it is. For design technology, Suzanne Roulier is the purchasing agent for everything design technology at American River College. So I could put Suzanne's name up here, and then anybody who gets this thing in shipping or receiving, or maybe they found the stuff and it was delivered to the wrong place, they'd know to call Suzanne because it's on the document. Okay, so that's our person. This is their person. Sometimes those people have to call each other, so it's listed down on the piece of paper. Usually, this is all kind of like pre-filled out for you. And you just call up an old one and make a copy of it. Okay, so it's not hard. But this one, I don't care who you put in here. For your vendor contact, make up a name. Okay, for our authorized purchase agent, make up a name. Now, terms are really important. Different companies have different terms that have been negotiated. Some places are credit card immediate payment only. Some are you have to pay within 30 days of cutting the purchase order or submitting it. Some of them are 90 days after receipt of order. Some are a blanket approval. So there's lots of ways that the purchase agent has worked with the vendor to figure out how the payments will be made. Maybe it's a wire transfer, maybe it's a check, maybe it's Venmo, immediately after order or something. Who knows what those terms are? But they have to be listed on the purchase order so that you know what's going on. So again, this area is about who's selling it. This area is who is buying it. It's us. Ship to, we might have more than one location to ship to. So you have to let them know. And then you have to let them know how to ship it, what you're going to approve. If they ship it FedEx overnight and it weighs 100 pounds and we just got a $2,000 order, shipping cost, maybe that wasn't in the plan. Or maybe normally we ship it, by freight and pick it up at the rail yard, but this one we need fast. So you always have to say how you want to receive it, how you want it shipped. Okay? So this is about us, what is important to us, and this is about who we're buying it from. And your annotations can simply be that simple. This area is about who we're buying it from. This is about us and how we're buying it. And of course, the next part is about what are we buying? So you could just write that down. This area is what we are buying. Okay? And sometimes there's special marking instructions. Outside of the box must have the purchase order number on it, or every part must be marked with the item number, or each part must be with our part number, or maybe it's must have customs clearance marked on it or something. So if there are special marking instructions, you need to make sure that you notify them. We're not going to do that. We don't have to do that on ours, but you should know that there's a place for it. And then each thing that you purchase, and I'm just going to give a demo and then erase it. Item number 1, and I can take multiple lines here. Item number 1 is going to be that thing right there. A 1/2-inch close nipple, so I'm going to paste it. And what's the vendor's part number? It's what you're going to type in to see. And it's either their item number or their manufacturer model or this code. So, and that's just something that a purchasing agent knows. But I'm going to type in the 6AZD8 because I happen to know Grainger, that's what they want. 6AZD8. 6AZD8. Now, what's our part number? That's what you would put on your bill of materials. What part number is this in our system? Okay, because our part number stays the same no matter who we buy it from. If I buy it from Grainger instead, or Amazon instead, or Home Depot instead, it's going to have our same part number, but their part number will be different. So I need to know what my part number is. And you should have some sort of part number on your bill of materials. I'm going to call it a 1/2 Nipple close. That's my part number. Brass. That's my part number. I used the same thing here as I used here. And you can do that. Or it can have a part number in a book somewhere. Now, how many do I need? Now I've got to go back to my bill of materials from last week and figure out how many I need to make 10 parts. Well, I remember, I'm not going to go look back because I know I need 20 of those to make 10 of my pumps. And I need 20, and I'm going to count each one. I don't need 2 dozen, but it could be, how do these come? Let me see how these come. If they're each or if they're in a pack of 10, I have to see now. So let me zoom in on this. How do I buy these? Now I'm going to get really, oh, they come in a pack of 10. So I'm not going to buy 20 of them. I'd get 200 items. This item comes in a pack of 10. So I'm going to buy 2 pack of 10. See how that works? I'm going to get 20 of them now. So you have to do a little bit of thinking, and that's what purchasing agents do. They look at how many you need from your bill of materials. Remember that little segment on the bill of materials that said, if I buy 10, how many do I need? And then they go look at the approved vendor and go, how many? If they happen to buy them from this group, maybe it's different. If they bought it from Amazon, how did they get it? They're each, I think, how many am I buying? Yeah, they're $4 each. And so, you know, the purchasing agent looks at all that stuff. So they look at the bill of materials and they look at your approved vendor list and they go, oh, I'm going to buy 2 packs of 10 because that's $27.50 each. And my 20 of them are going to cost me 2 times, yeah, it's going to cost me $55. Whereas if I bought 20 of them for $4.50, it would cost a lot more. Okay, so that's how you use this. And you're going to have to go through and do all that. I'll leave this one on here. And you'll have to do all the other ones. Now, is this taxable? In all cases, ours are going to be no. They're what's called OEM. If you get a product from somebody and you do something to it, okay, the value transfers to what we're making, and you only tax that once when it's sold for end use. So we're going to take this pipe and we're going to put some tape on it. We're going to screw it in, and it's going to have some other stuff on it. Okay. You know what? I'm going to go over here and I'm going to stop my video. They don't need to see my video running. And so it's not taxable. It's called OEM, Original Equipment Manufacturer. But when we sell our final product, the value of this thing that we used is going to be put onto it. And we're going to take the cost of the material and the cost of our labor and charge people for those things put together. So in all cases for us, we're going to have no. It is not taxable. There are cases when it is, so you leave it there. And a promised ship date. When is this thing going to ship? If I do this today and the promised ship date, I look at here and I go, oh, they can get that for me in a week and blah, blah, blah. I'll put it on the promised ship date. And it might be different for each item. Now, that's not when I get it. That's when they're going to ship it. It leaves the vendor's facility on that date. Okay, so I'm going to put down, a week from now, something. I'll put down 3, 15, 21, something like that. So that's how you would fill one out. And that's why we have this sample product. This is my sample one for you. You'll just make a product approval sheet. You'll list your approved vendors, and you'll make the cut sheet from each of them. So that we can see. And you'll notice I've got links on these. Okay, you make it easy. You don't want to spend time looking stuff up. You do this once ahead of time. Right? So you're going to be designer, bill of materials professional, and purchase order writer. All those things you're going to be this week. Okay? So do you have questions about how to do that? Is that fairly straightforward for you? You're going to create these. You have all your cut sheets already, at least from one source. Get another. These are in no particular order, by the way. That you don't have to have, first choice, second choice, third choice. These just happen to be in order that I used. What is it? Where do you go to get it? Some places put a bunch of stuff down here that they can copy and paste really quick. You can do that if you want to make it a little bit better, and fill out your purchase order. So everything that I got from who did I get that from? Granger. I used Granger there, right? So I would put Granger and Granger.com is who we would. Now here we would probably put our login data so that whoever knew how to do it could log in, right? Probably not our password and all that kind of stuff, but our login data and our Granger customer number. Now, I will tell you, American River College does not do this. They are horrible. I have to go look it up every time I want to make a Granger order instead of having it on our thing. They're so goofy, they don't get it. So not everybody does this, but that's sort of how you would do it. And you don't have to fill all this out other than maybe this and this. You don't need all this, but I'm just explaining to you so if you run into it and see it, you've got it. Okay, any questions on purchase orders? Okay, hold on a sec, Alex. I'm gonna get my sound back up. Um, so, Alex, can you type in your question? Actually, you know what I'm gonna do? I'm just gonna leave the other meeting right now. I'll go back to it later if I get a chance. Think. Okay, you can just ask your question. Yeah, this one. That uh yeah, yes. Yes. So you're gonna put it I mean if you want to add a new one you can, but it goes along with your PO template. So yes, you would put it here and then follow it up with a number of pages of this. Yep. There we go. Yes, so it's sort of your template. Cool. There we go. That's a good thank you for asking that, because that was not super clear. Or you could put it either way. You could also put it with your purchase orders. Like, here's the purchase order, and here are the product approvals that go with it. So you could do it either place, but have it with either the template or with your purchase orders. Okay, so after that, now let's talk about your milling ops, and I'm going to move that. I'm going to start AutoCAD. And that'll come up in just a moment. There it is. And I'm going to just demonstrate for you. I'm going to show you this, and I'm just going to move along so that you can see. So for each step of my process, and here's my drawing that I had. Okay. And what I did is I made a copy of my detailed drawing that I did last week. And I got rid of my layout. You can see down here that I've gotten rid of the layout. So I've made new layouts. But that's my detailed drawing from last week. There it is. And I drew my block around it. Okay. And if you center it up pretty good, it works a little better. It's kind of cool, but it doesn't really matter. Okay. And I put this on 0, 0, because that's where I'm going to measure from, right? That's where I'm going to zero my tool. And when I first call up my sim, my tool is sitting out here. So the first thing I'm going to do is move my tool. Here's my step 1. The first thing I'm going to do is move my tool to the center and turn it on. That's my plan. And so I draw that out. Literally, I draw it out. Visually, I'm going to fast travel to here, and then I'm going to turn on the power to cut my hole, and I'm going to use that size object. So I drew it, and I made a layout. That's my step 1. And this is just a process of going through it step by step by step and knowing what you're going to do. So what's the second thing I'm going to do? I made a copy of this. Well, then I'm going to fast travel down to here. I'm going to turn the power off. I'm going to fast travel until my milling cutter is right on that edge, right? Quadrant to edge. I'm going to go straight down. And then I'm going to cut sideways. Bink, bink. Okay, well, how would I note that? I'm going to go down until my Y, I'm going to go down 2.2421. But that's really my Y is 0 here. So I'm going to go to a Y of minus 2.2421. Then I'm going to turn my cutter on, and I'm just going to go back and forth until it's cut. And so I could write that down. And that's my milling op. Okay. Of course, I'm not going to show you all the rest of them because I've got all my numbers in here and you have to put your numbers in there. But this is what I did next. I went to the top then and cut across. Now, that's a little bit slower than just setting yourself here and going up. Some of you might want to be more efficient than I was. But I just went up to the top then. I went back and forth. And then I went over and I put my mill here. If you look at this, I left my cutter in this position and I set it up so that this edge would come straight down. Well, now I know where that is, right? I can just take a dimension. I can do that. I know where it is. I can just go until my little tool center up here tells me, and then I can cut this edge. Oop. And then I can bring the same thing down to here and cut this edge. And then I can change my cutter size and I can find where that center is. And I can set this up as my XY. So you can see, at a certain point, let's see. So that question is, oh, well, so the question is, how do you make each one of these sheets? Okay. And so like there's an example of one. Literally, I kept making a copy. Copy. Step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4, step 5, step 6, step 7, step 8, step 9, step 10. So I made tons of different layouts, and then each one of these shows a different one. Like if I do a new one here, yeah, it shows them all. So then I just got to go find the one that I'm interested in. And I set it for 1-to-1. Just I think it fits really well. Okay, so it's brute force. Total brute force. There's nothing simple or easy about it. Just redraw. But I'll tell you, it helped me because I thought things through. Okay, I figured out where I would go from here. Then I'd move it over to here and do it, and then I'd move it to here and turn it on and cut up and cut sideways. And then I cut here and right. So each time I did a thing, right? So then I rotated it, and then I rotated it again. So it's really yeah, it's easy. So Wasan says yes, it's easy. It is. I'll say it's simple, but not easy because it is a lot of work, right? But I'll tell you, it's really cool. Now, this is what I'm calling about your mill ops. Let's take a look now at this. So you've got your part drawing. What I just showed you, each of those layouts, is your milling plan sketch. And then your milling operations list sort of takes the sketch number and tells me what to do. So if I were to go on to this one, my step 2, I would write down fast travel to x is 0, y is minus 2.2421, and then cut in x and y direction. That's how I would list it. So I would say and you get the picture on that. I would step 2, fast travel to x equals 0.000. y equals minus 2.2421. Then what do? Cut in x, y, x plus x minus x, clean face. Something like that. And you just make your list. This is the start of G code, because then you could, fast travel would have a code, cut would have a code. It would tell you where to travel to, and then it would tell you, and you might even put x is minus 2.0. To x equals plus 2.0. Right? And that can all be programmed. Fast travel is a command. Coordinates are commands. Cut is a command. These are coordinates again. Okay. And so you could use this to generate G code, but I just want you to set it down is what you're going to do. So step one, choose 0.9498 cutter. To center of part. Zero the XY indicator. There we go. So you see, I mean, you're literally describing exactly, what's going on. Okay. Any questions about that? And I'll go over a little bit more of it. I have a sim to show you um, about how to use this. But you can imagine that if you've gotten these written down, how quickly you can get to where you're going to go. And each of these takes about maybe a minute to 2 minutes, and there's 11 steps in mine. So, you've got, instead of an hour trying to get this thing right, you've got maybe 15 or 20 minutes to make your part. All right. Any questions? That's it. That's this week. This is really the biggest part of this week. Although you should know how to create a purchase order. I'm going to leave this one on here for you, and you can do, excuse me, you can do a better job than I did of getting things set and in the right place and looking good and all that kind of stuff. All right. Last chance for questions. All right, then I'm going to go ahead and stop the recording, and that'll be cool. I'll post this up in a little while. Thanks, folks.